Hey everyone, before I even start reading from this article, I just want to say I'm a proponent of freedom of speech. And when you're a proponent of freedom of speech, there is no but. It's everybody should have the ability to speak freely. Like I say, as long as they're not advocating for preemptive use of violence to the point where you can be proven that that is actually going to lead to genuine violence and real harm to another human being. And once again, you'd have to show that cause and effect correlation entirely beyond a reasonable doubt for me to even accept any limitation on what someone says. So yeah, you could more or less say I'm basically a free speech absolutist. I believe that words are just words. And even if they're full of hatred, vitriol, or violent in any nature, I'd rather hear people that are so vile, so evil. I'd rather hear what they've got to say than try to silence or suppress them. Sunlight is a great disinfectant, and putting this stuff out in the open and in public not only shows us who it is that are a threat to us, but it also allows people like myself or others to challenge these people in a public arena or a public stage, or even using social media platforms such as I'm doing today to push back against their rhetoric and their ideologies. Sending them to the underground, trying to silence or suppress them, isn't going to prevent them from thinking the way they think. When I see people out there pumping up this kind of divisive narrative, like I say, it doesn't matter what their skin color is, doesn't matter what their history, their heritage, or their religion, or their sex. To me, I'll stand against every single one of them. But how I do so is not by trying to silence or suppress them, but by challenging their views and rhetoric directly. Headline out of CBC News, Manitoba. Mayor calls for removal of American activists from Winnipeg panel. Mayor's office says Linda Sarsour promulgates hate. It's been reported by Bartley Kives, April 23, 2019. Mayor Brian Bowman is calling for the removal of U.S. activist Linda Sarsour from a speaking engagement planned for Winnipeg on Friday. The Social Planning Council of Winnipeg and the Canadian Muslim Women's Institute had booked Sarsour, one of the co-chairs of the Women's March, to speak at an event called Sorry Not Sorry, unapologetically working for social justice, marking the council's 100th anniversary. The event had been scheduled for April 26 at the Seven Oaks Performing Arts Center at Garden City Collegiate. It was then rescheduled for the Ukrainian Labor Temple. Bowman's office issued a statement Tuesday morning calling for Sarsour's removal from the event. Mayor Bowman does not feel it is appropriate to provide this individual a public platform to further propagate anti-Semitic views and hate, the mayor's office said in a statement. At City Hall on Tuesday afternoon, Bowman said many groups made the same request to the Social Planning Council and said he met with the Social Planning Council privately. Listen, they're just words. Like I say, as much as I'm completely against this woman, why the hell do you think it's a good idea? Like, this is the thing. I can't stand the fact that I'm always seemingly have to either defend people that are perceived as far right or white supremacists, or even, I guess, these people that promote Islam or that are hate towards Jewish people or have hatred towards white people. To me, listen, to promote freedom of speech, to stand for freedom of speech means you have to do so for people that you don't even agree with. I mean, it would be easy for someone like myself, because I completely disagree with this woman and her stance on many issues. It'd be easy for me to fall in line and say, oh yeah, no, shut her up. Why? Why would, first of all, I want to hear her espouse her rhetoric, because I think most people, once you've heard what she's had to say, well, if you have a reasonable mind and you can think critically at all, you'll know that the kind of rhetoric she's espousing is very much about division and collectivism, but it makes absolutely no sense to try to silence them. That's the thing. If you're going to hold any principles, well, it has to, like, for it to be a principle, it means you can't keep moving the goalposts or pretending it only works for some people and not others. No, you have to be, if you're standing in defense of freedom of speech, you have to afford that to people that you vehemently disagree with. Otherwise, it's not freedom of speech. It's just picking who you think should be allowed to speak and those who shouldn't be. It's less about the speaker than the Social Planning Council providing the platform and the message it sends to the Jewish community and the community as a whole, said Bowman, who said it's deeply troubling that Sarsour challenges Israel's right to exist. She has continually attacked the foundation of the state of Israel's right to exist, the mayor said, accusing Sarsour of playing racialized identity politics. The mayor made his statements flanked by representatives of the Jewish Federation of Winnipeg, B'nai B'rith Canada, and other Winnipeg organizations. Sarsour is an outspoken critic of the state of Israel and supporter of Palestinian rights. She's faced accusations of anti-Semitism due to her support for the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement against Israel. Sarsour has also won awards, including the Champion of Change Award from U.S. President Barack Obama's administration. She has also condemned anti-Semitism on the part of other U.S. activists and apologized in 2018 for being too slow to condemn racism. So anyways, folks, once again, here I am. Like I say, I'm defending Linda Sarsour. Who would have ever thought? Well, I mean, I'm not defending her, but I'm defending her right, or inherent right, to speak freely. That's what you do when you stand for freedom. You have to universalize that. You can't just say, oh, I care for freedom, but only for my group, right? I don't care about in-group preferences, and I don't care about just aligning with one particular collective or one particular tribe. No, I'm all about universalizing morality and ethics and legal or judicial standards. I want these to work for everybody, not just particular groups, not just for particular individuals, but for everybody. So if you stand for freedom of speech, you have to be willing to give even people like Linda Sarsour the ability to step on a platform or on a stage and say whatever she's got to say. And at the same time, you can assume your own right to freedom of speech and use that to push back against the kind of political rhetoric or the ideologically driven rhetoric that someone like her would espouse. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the battle of ideas. And I think the best ideas will ultimately win. But the only way that can happen is if that battle of ideas actually takes place. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.